I think after the 2019 season, they were old, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you had Jason Peters doing his song and dance at left tackle for way too long. I mean, Jason Kelsey was old, still is, but he's playing well. You had, Brandon still. Haloti Nada, we just talked about. Was he on the 2019 team? I don't think it was Haloti. Somebody else who was getting up there. But the safeties, McLeod, who was coming off the injury, he was getting up there. Malcolm Jenkins was on the 19 team. That was his last year.
19th,
So,
Malik Jackson, who got
yeah,
hurt.
Malik Jackson, that was their veteran that year. Yeah, so
And
he was
Jernigan came back. Yeah, Jernigan.
he was up there in age. So they had Andrew Sandejo for half the year. They had brought Vinny Curry back, if you remember. So they had some guys. Timmy Jernigan was still on the team at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So Orlando Scandrick was on the team for a little while. So I get what he's saying. I definitely get what he was saying. And plus they weren't really getting a whole lot from some of their like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was their second round pick, and who's the first rounder? Andre Dillard wasn't able to play the next year. So yeah, they were old at a lot of key positions there. But I don't know that I would say it's been a short period. I mean, it's been since that time. I mean, because 2020 they started the year with, Rager and Tim Hightower were like seeing a lot of snaps, and then they had to play Jack Driscoll at right tackle. So this will be year 3 of Howie kind of moving on from the 2019 season where they were starting. I think people tend to think of Carson Wentz leaving as when the replenishing started, but if you remember, after the 2019 year when they lost to Seattle, Carson got hit by Clowney. At the combine, Howie had talked about how they had made moves in 2018 and 19 with the window, and that it was time to start replenishing the roster then and there. Not when Carson left. It was a year before Carson left that they were really starting that. So this will be the third year of trying to get to the roster younger.
Well, it's funny if you looked at their average age that year. Well, when Peters was on the roster last with Kelsey, it had them so higher up on the average per.
And Sproles, don't forget, he weighted it too.
But Peters and Kelsey being on the roster, it's going to raise your average age much higher. Mm-hmm. And then when you remove Jason Peters is 39 or 40 now, just changes. Yeah. But no, this is we want to trim this. Billy, I love your email, but for time purposes, you make a good point. If you look at because he's also talking about the optimism. Look at their schedule to start the season. He talks about Detroit. We know they're a little bit better. The roster's a little bit better. Then Jacksonville, Washington. Now, Washington with Wentz, they're going to be better because he's a better
Wait, you said Jacksonville. I thought week 2 was Minnesota.
Right, but he's talking about the first 4 or 5 games.
My fault. I thought you were going sequentially. Right. My bad.
Right. No, he's at the Vikes week 2, and then Wentz and Doug Peterson. This is a very nice schedule. It doesn't mean they're going to go 4-0, but you're right, Billy. This is a very nice schedule to set up the team for success. And he finishes. I wasn't aware that Chris Sims said this. He says Chris Sims apparently made this point about Hurts doesn't have to go balls to the wall. He just needs to distribute the ball wisely. He has the playmakers now to make that happen. I do believe Hurts plays clean and lets his playmakers do the job. Good things are going to happen. Yeah, that's a fair way to say it. So that's Billy. By the way, that's why I'm so optimistic with this team, because they've addressed so many needs through free agency and the draft on both sides of the football. As Geoff said earlier, the only one they haven't addressed is safety. You're just not going to be able to address every need in one offseason. You can, but you have to be careful because, as you said earlier, they could make a trade for Jesse Bates if they were wanting to do this and if the Bengals were willing, but they could afford to do it. They could, but eventually you're going to have to pay. Like, it's going to hurt you somewhere else down the line. So that would be my issue.